Hello, Joe Ragosa here from Friday Music, and this is Friday Music Random Vinyl Pick number 3. It's been going over so well that I thought we just keep going for it. A little bit of a spin difference tonight. My wife Karen, my charming bride, is in the mix, and if you can see it, my wonderful adopted greyhound Petula is here too, after Petula Clark. Karen picked the first album. I'm not going to look. Oh, this is a great one. This is my buddy Mark Lindsay, Paul Revere and the Raiders. Story behind this album, Alias Pink Puzz. This had a hit single called Let Me on it, which is my favorite Paul Revere song, period, hands down. And there's a couple autographs on there, by the way. It's Mark. I always like that song. It just sounds so great on the radio, and the album is not a letdown whatsoever. There's so much great stuff. And the players, Freddie Weller on guitar, obviously Paul Revere on keys and vocals, the late great Keith Allison on guitar and bass. I got this album in '69. I remember the albums my brother Jimmy bought me. He bought me this. He bought me Three Dog Night 1 and Disraeli Gears. I got to work with Mark on many projects at Friday Music, and I always told him this was my favorite song on my favorite album. Great songs on here. I Want to Thank You, Frankfurt Street. Here Comes the Pain. The story behind this album, they were going to put this out on pink vinyl. They were going to go to rock radio with it to see if they can expand into underground radio at the time, FM. And they were going to just call the band Pink Puzz. We did a ton of Raiders stuff. We did a great box set, CD box set of all the singles. And, Mark's the greatest guy in the world. Done a lot of work with him. He actually, we did a special edition of Spirit of '67 for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because most of the songs are featured in the film. And if you saw the movie, the Quentin Tarantino movie, Paul Revere and the Raiders were a focal point throughout the movie because of the old TV show happening '68, '69. But a great album nevertheless, and my favorite Paul Revere and the Raiders album. What's next? I'm not looking. I'm not supposed to look.
Let's see.
You're gonna. I talk too much.
Find another.
But what's one of my favorites?
Location.
I love talking. What has she got here? Well, it's a night of the '60s here. I love this album, Grassroots. Move Along. This was one of their final albums on ABC. Not the final, but it was next to final, I believe. There's some really great tunes on here. Any Way the Wind Blows is great. The Runaway, Smash. Two Divided by Love. That's like one of my favorites. Well, they had so many great songs, didn't they? The late Rob Grohl, what a voice this cat had. I saw him open with the Monkees in '86, a couple times with the Monkees in the '80s when they came back for the That Was Then, This Is Now tour. Interesting story, Warren Entner, this fella here, got into management, and I think he was working with people like Guns N' Roses and things like that in the '80s and '90s after the Grassroots were kind of done. And there's another guy who's not featured in the photo here, but I know he's on the album, is Dennis Provisor, who has a real sultry soul voice, was doing all the things, like trading licks back and forth on the vocals with Rob on things like Sooner or Later and things like that, and definitely on Two Divided by Love. He's the more soulful, kind of like R&B voice. They weren't really a studio band. These guys really were a band. They did play live, and they had studio musicians on some of the early things, but they really played live. And there's videos out there of them playing live. They were a great band, sorely missed group. Boy, I wish music was still this good, don't you? Anyway, want to try a couple more?
Okay. All right, let's just do this.
What's this? Holy bananas. Another guy I worked with, Lou Reed, Rock and Roll Animal. Produced by Steve Katz from Blood, Sweat, and Tears. This was going to be, I believe, a 2-album set at the time. Hey, Lou autographed that for me. Crazy autograph, huh? Worked with him at RCA. What a great guy. Boy, he's missed. What a great album. This is a great cover. Pretty much, there's a lot of Velvet Underground songs on this album because he was on RCA. There wasn't any Velvet albums out, really. It was hard to find Velvet vinyl back in the early 70s. It was gone. But there's this White Light, Heroin, Sweet Jane, and then he does stuff from Berlin like Lazy Day, and shuts the album off with Rock and Roll and White Light, White Heat. One of the best versions of rock and roll I've ever heard, obviously. But Steve Hunter playing guitar, great guitar player. Sadly, we lost Lou several years back. But if you want a definitive live rock and roll album, not a lot of overdubs, just straight ahead rock and roll. That's why it's called Rock and Roll Animal. Grab this. Lou Reed Live was the part 2 of this, which I think was supposed to make it the 2 LP set. They put it out later on, like much later on. I think it's a contract thing. Probably his best-selling solo album. Oh no, Transformer would probably be the best, but I'd say this is probably his second best-selling album. And very influential cat, still is. Next.
All right, let's see. What number the face?
Uh-oh, where's she going? Uh-oh, the mystery room.
Hardly reach it.
The mystery room. I got stuff all over the place. What is she bringing out? This will be the final one tonight. Let me see what we got. Oh, well. The King. The Ray Charles. Love. Country style. I recently got a new copy of this. It's still sealed off the internet. Look at that. It is it Kmart? Mayway. Well, who is Mayway? Somebody will tell me. Mayway store. This is one of his ABC albums in the early 70s. He had a big crossover hit, top 40 and country, with If You Were Mine on here. The real gem is Jimmy Webb's I Keep It Hid, which is a real tearjerker, makes this the album that it is. He never made a bad album. Don't Change on Me, Sweet Memories. It's a bluesy country album. There's some steel guitar in here and things, but the Jimmy Webb track, it's just worth the price of admission. Hasn't been in print for a long time. It's a tremendous album, and I suggest that if you're going to get into the countryside array, you can start with this one. Anyway, you guys have a great night. Thank you, Karen, for your hospitality. Oh, look at this. See, there you go. I married up. I say that all the time because look at me and look at her. Anyway, have a great night and God bless. See you soon.